good? Good morning.
Good morning.
Is this thing on? Oh, it's on. Sorry. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Pensacola. I'm Mary Beth. I'll be your service leader today. She, her pronouns. Okay, if you can turn off or, put on silent all your mobile devices or things that make noise, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, welcome. If you're a visitor here and this is your first time, we're so happy to have you. Look no further if you've been looking for a lovely, warm, welcoming community. We are it. So happy that you found us. Hopefully you were greeted at the door by one of our lovely greeters and given a pamphlet with a lot of our information and possibly a guest card. If you like what you see and you want to get some emails about us and things going on in our community, you can sign up. There's a little guest card somewhere, I have it, but anywho, put your information there and we'll get you on the email list. And if you didn't get a pamphlet, or you did, but you don't want to take it home, you can always go to our website, which has everything you need to know about our church and the UU community at large, and that's uupensacola.org. So, yes, if this is your first time, a big fat welcome to you. And if you're returning, a big fat welcome back to you. And if you're watching online, thank you for tuning in. We are so glad to have you all here. If this is your first time, we are a lay-led community. We don't have a regular person up here to talk to you every Sunday. We switch it up, and we have a friend of the community speaking today, and last week we had a member, last week we had a Mother's Day special with 4 members talking to you. So, we switch it up. Next week we have a long-term member speaking, Scott, who's a bit of a local celebrity, I think I can say. I'm going to embarrass you, but you are. I feel like people know you a lot. So anyway, come back next week and you'll see a very famous person. After service, we have, I've got some announcements, but talking about what's going on after church. But definitely after church, every Sunday, we have our little social hour. So in the conference room, just out to the lobby and out that way, we have coffee and water and sweets and treats that's provided every Sunday by our some loving members of the church. So please stick around and grab some goodies and, get to know us as a family, as a church family. Also today, after service, I'll go right on into announcements, is our annual congregational meeting. So we're going to have lunch, and I assume it'll be probably in the conference room, but, just follow the crowd of people, and they will lead you to the food. And so that's what we'll do. And then for the church members, you have to be a member of the church to vote on our things, but we'll vote on the budget, leadership, and other important issues. So we do need a quorum, and obviously we want to hear your vote, get your vote. So please be sure to stay for that and participate. Okay. The board has approved the BECI, it's a company, to complete a full assessment of the damage to our roof. And there's a good bit of damage. So please be advised that they will be at our church here on May 26th. I think that's a Saturday. Yeah. No, it's a something. It's a Monday? Tuesday? Thanks.
Tuesday, I'm sorry.
1 out of 7. And so it's May 26th from 9 to 5 is when they'll be there. So the building will not be available for any other activities. So again, just, keep that in mind. That's May 26th, the assessment on the roof. And summer is here. The children's program will hold its traditional ice cream social to kick off our summer program. It will be next Sunday, the 24th. So after service on the back porch. So basically as soon as church is out, head for the back area. And weather permitting. If it's rainy, we'll have it inside, of course, but it is a covered area out there. So children and youth and their families are welcome to join. Whether you're regulars or your first time, come anyway and get some ice cream. And you can see Angela in the back lobby, or Lauren, who's wearing a yellow shirt back there, if you guys have any questions. But that's next Sunday, the 24th, directly after service. And then I think this is the last one. Mark your calendars for Saturday, May 30th From 9 to 2, we are asking all able-bodied members, friends, and acquaintances to join us for an outdoor planting, trimming, and cleanup day. You might get a phone call or a message asking you to help, so be prepared for that. It was rescheduled from the 9th, so it's happening, so you didn't miss it, in case you were wondering. It's on the 30th, and there's usually some sort of food or lunch. Probably just bring something to share. There will be lunch? Oh, great. Okay, so yeah, lunch will be available. Okay, I think that's all the announcements. Yay. Julie, would you mind helping me with the chalice light? And we'll have some chalice lighting words. Thank you. So as she lights this, I'll say, may this flame we light remind us that every one of us can bring the light of joy to the world. May this clear flame be a symbol that every heart can burn bright with joy, peace, and harmony. May the wisdom of ages speak to us through this flame and stay in us. Every one of us can be a blessing to the world. Thank you. And then let's get some centering music, maybe just a little centering music so we can unwind a little, and then Julie will have some opening words for us. I encourage you to take a big breath. Breathe, close your eyes, be in this place. Focus on where we are in this loving, warm, and welcoming environment. Thank you.
Joseph Campbell. Furthermore, we have not even to risk the journey alone, for the heroes of all time have gone before us. The labyrinth is fully known. We have only to follow the path of the hero thread, and we shall find the hero path. And where we had thought to find an abomination, we shall find a God. Where we had thought to slay another, we shall slay ourselves. Where we had thought to travel outward, we shall come to the center of our own existence. And where we had thought to be alone, we shall be with all the world.
Thank you, Julie. I'm going to invite the choir up, and we'll have our opening song. It's called Holy, Holy, Holy. So the words are actually going to be up on the screen for us to sing together. So if you're willing and able to stand and sing with us, that would be great. Again, they'll be up on the screen here, and then afterwards, if you could stay standing, we'll recite our covenant together.
Spirit divine, come to me, feeling love, healing me. Open my heart, allow me to see beauty and love lives in me. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. We are holy, holy, holy. You are whole.
And now we'll recite our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is law. This is our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, choir.
You're welcome.
Okay. Now is the time where we can share our joys and sorrows with our community here in this place. This is not recorded, it's not shared online, it's just for us today. If you have something that's been laying heavy on your heart or something that you want help, rejoicing in, now's the time. You can come line up on either side, and I'll hand you the mic and just say your name and briefly give us something that you want to share. Again, a joy or a sorrow, and then if you'll choose a pebble to drop in the water, as a representation of that. And I will drop the first pebble to cover all the things going on around the world. Obviously, we would be here all day and all week probably if we talked about all that. So I'll just do one pebble for all the things around the world. But again, if you have something personal you'd like to share with us, please just line up on either side here. Should we sing the children out? Sure. I'm gonna do it. Mike? Thank you. Lovely. All right. As you may or may not know, our church is fully member funded, so we rely on our charitable donations to operate. We appreciate any time, talent, or treasure you can give. At this time, though, we'll have our ushers come and pass around some baskets for any offerings that you may be willing to give to us. You can also give online or text or send a check. You can talk to pretty much any member in the church, and they will let you know how you can set up reoccurring donations online. So I'll ask the ushers to come up and the choir to come up, and we're going to lead you in a chant, and the words will be up on the screen, but it's very easy, short and sweet. Short and sweet? Okay. Okay, so Julie Patton is our speaker today. She is a retired LCSW and community activist with a lifelong interest in the nature of reality and the philosophical pursuit of truth. Quite the undertaking. She honed her search for universal spiritual and moral principles in the hospice movement, and recently taught for 10 years at the University of West Florida. She is particularly interested in working with others to develop a wisdom tradition for the future beyond Trump, and hopes to start an ongoing wisdom circle in the second hour here at our church. So that will be exciting, and we're very blessed to have her. So please help me welcome Miss Julie Patton. Yeah.
I'd like to start this morning with a chant, a body prayer that I used a variation of last time, but I've really adapted it specifically for the Unitarians. So I invite you to join me. If you'd like to stand, you can stand. If you don't want to stand, sit down. But it goes like this. It's on the board, and it goes, "Here I stand as I am, fully human, in the world as it is, sacred and profane, encircled by the interdependent web of all being and consciousness, resting in the heart of love, bowing not knowing to what." So, shall we take another, give that another try? Okay. So here we go. Here we stand as we are, fully human, in the world as it is, sacred and profane, encircled by the interdependent web of all being and consciousness, resting in the heart of love, and bowing not knowing to what. Okay? And what I'm going to talk about this morning builds on something that Zach Helton talked about several months ago. I'm going to talk about spirituality and Unitarianism, and also about spirituality and just bright people in general, because I think that we have moved to a point in our society where fewer and fewer people feel comfortable participating in some of the forms that spirituality has taken in the past. But I've been attending recently, or for several years actually, a wisdom school that's online in Maine with a teacher named Cynthia Bourgeot and some other people. And I've just been very powerfully affected by that. And so when I came back to this fellowship as a friend, I also was powerfully affected by what was happening here, because there was a life and there was a vitality. There was music. Where'd Mike go? Mike in Hollywood? And yeah, I know. And who are the other musicians who are not joining him today? Okay. And the choir, y'all are just singing wonderful things and things that have so much life. And it's that life, I think, that spirituality is. It's somehow managing to tune in to the life under life, because there is a world that seems to be going on around us, and it seems to be going on around everything. But the question that I always raise is this what's really real? It seems to me that underneath that, throughout my life, I've perceived living streams that go under what seems to be happening on the surface. And I'm sorry Joe Benson's not here today, because he's done that wonderful video recently on the living streams that flow under Pensacola, and how sometimes the living streams become a huge flood. And we really have a problem, as we've had during hurricanes and so forth. And I think that there is maybe a little bit more that we could do to expand the wisdom of tuning into those living streams. And so I just wanted to talk about that today, because when Zach talked about Unitarianism several months ago, I guess it was, he said that surveys showed that one of the reasons that people left the Unitarian Church was that the spirituality seemed too superficial and didn't really go quite deep enough. And so I wanted to talk about some ways of engaging in a deeper, more heartfelt spirituality without making it into a series of mythic stories, as many churches do. I'd also like to mention that I was delighted recently to go to the Women's Fest that Nancy Hagman and Penny and Rose and so forth arranged at the Mountain in North Carolina. It was really, really life-giving, and part of the focus there was on the songs that we've sung today. And so Laura was there, and she sort of agreed to lead the choir and bring some of them back, and there are many more of them. We also engaged in some dancing that was amazing. The first time I've ever felt that beehive effect that you feel when you're dancing with a lot of other people was with the Universal Peace Dances in Colorado. When I did a 2-year spiritual training there. And so I think that there are lots of tools that have become specifically Unitarian, but also specifically human, that can really be helpful in deepening all of our spiritual lives and getting us out of the impasse that we're in as a nation, actually, if we're lucky enough to survive the present troubles. And I think that what's happening right now is that we're all struggling against a concrete spirituality that really is more appropriate for the first half of life. And that actually our society and many of us are no longer in the first half of life. We are no longer concrete people who see the world as solid, see ourselves as solid. I told my brother that at 80, I'm kind of on the runway waiting for the takeoff, you know? And some of the rest of you, I think, are too. And so I am much more interested in what lasts than in all the chances and changes and mutability of this world. And I've been working on a theology, really, that is more dynamic than the static Christian theology that most of us have been raised with. And so I want to look for a second at how we got here, and then I want to look a little bit more about where we can get at, how we can get out of it, some of the ways. After the Enlightenment, which was very enlightening, it was wonderful. And what's followed since the Enlightenment has been quite wonderful too. There have been advances in art and music and archaeology and the liberal arts and certainly in science and in all of these different areas that have come from the mode of thinking, the consciousness that we took out of the Enlightenment. And so it served us very well. And I'm not saying at all that this has been a bad thing to go through. I think it's been wonderful. And I have one friend right now who's still alive because of advances that have come with treating cancer. But I think we've come to some sort of end now. We're up against some kind of wall that lets us know that we have to evolve at this point, that we have to change the way we're thinking in order to continue to meet the demands of the world. Because our current consciousness is failing us. At this point, we can't even agree anymore on what a fact is, on whether something happened or not. And now we're at a point where everybody's talking about artificial intelligence, and God knows where that's going to go. I'm not even going to go now. But one of the reasons that our mode of thinking, our operating system in our consciousness is inadequate is that it's perspectival. It's from everything that we see and perceive is from somebody's perspective. And it's often from our perspective, which we would like to be the prevailing perspective. We would like for everyone to see what we see, but it's a natural result of the changes that led to the Enlightenment. If you think about Michelangelo, he had all of those diagrams about perspective and about how to establish depth, and you can remember the cones that go out if you've seen those sketches, and it really revolutionized painting because it allowed us to zero in on a particular thing and make it right in terms of scale, in terms of all the rest of it. And we use that discovery of perspective to apply it to our whole world. And so what we learned to do very well during this mental period of consciousness was to zero in on a problem and focus on it in a logical way and often figure out how it worked and how we could manipulate it in some way to make it achieve a certain end. And that's been great. That's led to a lot of the progress that we've made in the 21st century. But what's happened for lots of educated people is that actually what it's done is alienate us from, in some ways, from our existence in the middle of nature and in the middle of the eternal ongoing parts of what the universe and the cosmos have to offer. And so we need to find ways at this point to ground ourselves and to come back to a sense of awe and reverence and some of the other things that used to be real strengths when we were living in tribes and living in a tribal, closer existence. It also occurs to me that I do have some copies of the outline of this to hand out if anybody wants them, or you can pick them up on the way out. There have been a lot of complaints, apparently, about the size of the font and the fact that people can't read the slides. So we're offering, Mary Beth's got them, and if you would like a copy of the outline of this, please come. But the result of it has been that we've lost a sense of awe and mystery. We're so accustomed to zeroing in on this kind of cancer that we can't recapture the big picture. We can't really see that cancer in the context of the rest of the universe, where we occupy a small planet that is almost certainly replicated in other parts of the universe with other species of people-like beings, and they may or may not think in many of the ways that we've thought in. And so basically, in terms of what we believe and what draws us together, evolution and the lifespan of the human being mirrors the evolution and consciousness of the race as a whole. We started out as we crawled out of the slime, really not thinking of ourselves as much of anything. We just lived in the world as fish with feet, or whatever form we took at that initial period. And then as consciousness evolved and the brain changed, we moved into more of an existence where we were hunter-gatherers, we lived separately and loosely in a group, and the evidence seems to be that we had a magical thinking in which we perceived ourselves as part of nature, but consciousness was really not so much present at all. And then as we really moved into groups, and then particularly, well, as we moved into groups, we learned to talk, we learned to communicate more effectively, we learned to do a whole bunch of things, but we began to tell stories. And the stories were attempts to explain what was going on around us in this amazing world, but they were not, we would not see them as literally true at this point. But the people who were experiencing them then did see them as literally true. And that was kind of the Old Testament and the early documents of most races. And so early religions use metaphor and myth, which are taken as fact, for a sense of ultimate reality and what the meaning of things is. But then what happened as the Greeks moved into city-states and life got more complex and there were more people, was that was no longer an adequate way of explaining the world and interacting with each other. And so we began to develop a more mental consciousness that was rational and linear and has allowed us to make so much progress. But in the process, what happened is that the prevailing church in the West, which of course was the Catholic Church, basically outlawed the intuitive aspects of the religion that was brought by Jesus of Nazareth. And that has caused all kinds of disruption because it eliminated the female voice, among other things. People who did not perceive the world entirely in those linear ways It also eliminated or established a power structure that left lots and lots of people as marginal to the main progress of life. And so it resulted in a loss of anything like a holistic view. And now we don't have language for the transcendent any longer, and we have really an overemphasis on mental activity. Now, Unitarians and other educated people really, okay, we're not quite in line with the scrolls, and I said I would do that. So let me see if I can get us lined up here. But, oh, she moved it. Okay, she moved it. All right. So Unitarians and many other educated people are reluctant to participate in the old forms of making ourselves more at home in the world. And in the process, what's happening is that many people are missing out on the time-tested paths to love, to public morality, to compassionate action, and to ego transcendence. And when you get to be 80, you realize how important ego transcendence is, because my ego will be dissolving or dispersing soon. And what I want is really not so important anymore, although I certainly try to shape the world in the way that I can. And so my feeling, my frustration sometimes is that the UU denomination has a cosmology and a belief system that's open to other faiths and other practices. And so it's perfect for moving forward in this intergalactic world, but often the commitment to social justice takes precedence over the traditional focus on individual morality and growth. Now, is social justice important? Yes, absolutely, it is. So keep on doing it. But at the same time, we need to be growing ourselves as well, because the mental consciousness system with which we're all operating is just not working to solve the problems that we have now in the world with people who contradict the occurrence of a fact or whatever, and are trying to move back to what the traditional beliefs have been. And I think that as educated people, we've kind of become a denomination of prophets, whether we're Unitarian or not. You know, what is happening at the university, what is happening in the city council or the county commission and so forth, is a lot of people saying, if you keep on doing what you're doing, life is going to go to hell in a handbasket. And is that true? Yeah, a lot of things have gone to hell in a handbasket. I've spent many hours in the county commissions recently. And aside from what I went for, which was a fairer hiring process for the library, there was endless discussion of who owned the beach. And what we know about owning the beach is that the beach is not a static place. It's always changing. I remember a talk I went to here about the ecology of coastal islands. And it just doesn't make much sense to say that I own the beach all the way down to the water, as the condo owners are saying, and really you can't walk on it. You can't take a beach walk. Well, a beach walk doesn't divide itself into this lot and the next lot and the next lot. A walk is you just walk along the beach where the water is, but that's disputed at this point. And we don't really have a lot of ways to deal with that. And it's frustrating to go to those meetings and so forth. So I think that what we also need to do to keep ourselves sane is to focus on developing an inner life. And I think that an inner life is something that religious practices and beliefs offer us ways to do. There are rituals that sort of teach us how to die, that teach us what to do if we're wrongly accused of doing something and crucified. Just in a whole variety of ways, the technology exists within traditional religions to help us with many of the passages of life. And so, but I think that since we make thinking predominant, we sort of rule out our full participation in a lot of those things. And so the music that we've had today, the music that we have a lot of the time, and the focus on meditation is what I'm going to end with here, really do offer us ways to sort of carve out within ourselves an area in which we can establish sovereignty of mind, is what I'm calling it. There's an Aboriginal writer whose name is Alexis Wright, and what she says is Indigenous people have been dealing with the end of the world since the beginning of time, because whatever it was that they were doing, more cerebral people come in and say, no, you have to do it this way, and incidentally, I need your oil, and I need your trees, and I need your gold, and I need your whatever. They've kind of capitalized the way the world is working. And so the great insight that came into Western tradition with Jesus of Nazareth was the idea that the kingdom of God is within you. Now, whether you call that God, or whether you call it, as I do these days, energy, or the flow of life, or something else, it really does allow for kind of an inward migration where you come to a place where there's some contact with the bedrock of existence, with being itself, before it assumes all these other forms that it changes through over the course of history and over the course of the human life. And in addition, people are now consciously trying to change their minds. A lot of people have always done that. There've always been curious minds who have tried to study Eastern philosophy, where they do a better job of this, and have tried to change their minds in many ways. But in the last 50 to 100 years, that's become available to all of us. We can see how the world works. We can see how to change from being a judgmental person and an opinionated person to a person who has an easier time letting go when things don't go their way. And I'm working on that a whole lot because things are seldom going my way right now in the public world. So I wanted to share with you today just 6 slides I made when I was working with cancer patients that are non-denominational, non-religious ways of achieving what Herbert Benson calls the relaxation response. And it's very simple. We know how to do it, and this is the basis of all meditation, though every culture and denomination puts their own twist on it. And so I'm not going to read the whole thing out, but what Benson discovered at Harvard was really visceral learning, or biofeedback, which wasn't logical or rational at all. And that's what I've been doing since 1985 when I was working with cancer patients. But, and I'm going to leave that to you to get the, to get the slides and look at it. But basically, I'm suggesting that responsible people at this point need to do that, because we have to have ways of calming ourselves down, of getting out of the midst of the struggle when the struggle is great, and giving ourselves a breather and a way to tune into the energy of the universe that comes from practices like meditation or dancing together or song, so that we can revive ourselves and then return to the struggle. Paula is somebody I spend a lot of time with, and I keep saying to her, Paula, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And she's great, and she says, well, you don't have to do it. And so I go away for a little time and I meditate, but then I come back. I find that I'm drawn back to the vitality of public life, but I have to have that way to take a real break and move on with it. So basically, I'm hoping to do a wisdom school in the second hour, maybe the third or the fourth or the fifth, but basically that would meet once a month, where we can just explore some of the discoveries like the Nag Hammadi scrolls that have told us a lot of things that we didn't know about what was kicked out of Christianity and so forth, and they were ways to reestablish our balance. So I was reading a meditation this morning that said that perhaps the spiritual life is less about mastering reality and more about consenting to be breathed by it. And what I will say to you is that my most satisfactory periods of meditation are when I don't really feel like I'm breathing at all. I feel like I'm being breathed by the universe around me, by the interdependent web of being. And it helps us notice where we're closed, soften our grip on reality, trust the slow opening that's happening within us, where we're not forced open. You know, what we've always known is you have to choose this path. Reality certainly can knock you up against the rocks, and you don't have much to say about that. But you can also let yourself be knocked up against the rocks, because some days it's just your day to be crucified. And the question is, how are you going to manage this gracefully without becoming an affliction to everybody? And believe me, I've been an affliction to everybody. So I've asked to be opened and gently surrendered into something that I feel is much larger than myself, and I want to share it. So if we can arrange a scheduling, I invite you to participate in a wisdom circle. And what I'm going to do is close today with some closing words from Alexis Wright, the Aboriginal writer. And what she said is that the first step towards freedom is to decolonize or decapitalize the mind, so you can develop strengths that will not be defined by how others think you should believe. This liberation is called sovereignty of mind, and the journey to sovereignty of mind requires an inward migration where we, in a sense, become refugees from our external nature. From our external nature, nation, culture, economy, and civilization, and family, I'll add, and church. As you know, I'm a member of Christ Episcopal Church, but I'm here as a refugee because other things happen here that I value just as much as the liturgy and spirituality that usually move me along. Even though we still live within its borders, we can withdraw inwardly. And so I invite you to learn how to do that if you don't already know, or to do it more seriously if you already do know and do it, and really to try to develop a spirituality that's appropriate to Unitarian Universalism, that will balance the focus on the mental way of thinking that is not quite integrated into a holistic view of reality. So I thank you. Go in peace, have lunch. And if you want a copy of the slides, certainly, or the outline, certainly let somebody know. Is Mary Beth the person who still has them? Yeah.
There's some more copies, yeah, just up here.
Okay, so there are more copies. If you couldn't read the slides, or if somehow I wandered away from the slides.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to close with the song, and then we'll be ready for lunch and our congregational meeting. And when Julie gets her second hour set up, we will be sure to let everybody know. We'll put it in the announcements on the announcements board, so just be ready for that. But if you guys are willing and able to stand and sing with us our closing song, the words will be up on the screen. And we sang this not too fairly long ago, so hopefully you guys recognize it, but it's called We Shall Be Known. The food's not here yet. Let's sing it again. It's still not here, but that's okay. We will, you'll have time to use the bathroom and socialize and, hang out for a bit, and then we'll have the food ready. I'm sure you'll find it soon. So anyway, thank you so much for coming today. We love you, and we'll see you in a bit. Okay, love you, bye. Go in peace. Okay. Yeah, but stay for the meeting. Okay.